Bro, Skillet made a new record. Awesome, let's check it out.
Skillet made a new record.
Let's get it over with. This album review is going to be a little more rambly and a little more ranty than my average album review. So I'm actually going to kind of start with my overall opinions of it, and then if you guys want to stick around for the rest of it, then you can. Basically, Skillet, Dominion, we're going to go ahead and give it a B-. No means the best thing ever made, but there's something that I think you can get out of it, especially if you're listening to the lyrics. I know that people like to say that Skillet's like a generic butt rock band or whatever, but like really, like if you're just paying attention to the lyrics and on an objective standpoint, it's about good song structures and catchy lyric and like catchy melodies and stuff. It's actually pretty good. The couple of tracks I would suggest checking out if you're still on the fence about even listening to it, or if you just want to give it a second chance. "Standing in the Storm," which was the second single off of it. The chorus is really good. The lyrics are really good. The verses are pretty unexciting, if you ask me, but the chorus is amazing, and I have found that it's kind of helped me through a little bit that's been going on in my life recently. And then "Forever" or "The End" is a ballad towards the end of the record, which is awesome. So those two songs specifically are really good, but honestly, there's only like maybe 2 songs on it that I think are skips, and the rest is, it's butt rock, but it's pretty good. So if you like the radio rock, the butt rock, modern rock, whatever you want to call it, I think, especially if you're listening to the lyrics just as much as anything else, there's going to be something you can get out of it. So I'd give it a B-. So let's go ahead and get into the ranty section of it now that we've got like the general thing out of the way, because this is something that if I had my old YouTube channel, All Things Christian Rock, I'll link it up here if you want to go look at it. But if I was still doing that channel, I probably would have made a video about this by now, which is the crap that Skillet gets. Now, obviously, Skillet's one of those bands that, they get the hate because there's also so many people who love them. I mean, they have 6.3 million monthly listeners on Spotify. That's insane. And they have, multiple gold and platinum selling singles and albums. They're huge, but I think a lot of people see them as like the Christian Nickelback. And then worse than that, a lot of people just don't like Christian rock at all. It's cheesy, it's campy, and then butt rock is also cheesy and campy. And so people just like to poop on Skillet a lot. And here's the thing, is I don't think that Skillet is like by any means like the most original band in the world. If you I don't think there's any evidence for this, but if you kind of look at it, whenever they would release an album, it kind of sounds pretty similar to whatever was like the biggest album in rock music from a few years earlier. Which, let's be real, it wasn't that big of a deal when they were doing that and making good records, right? Like Collide sounds a lot like something Seether would make. Cool. Comatose sounds a lot like Fallen by Evanescence. We could go on that path, but the last couple records have been pretty lackluster because rock music just isn't really relevant anymore. Or at least nowhere near as it was. Like, somehow Skillet is one of the most successful rock bands in the modern day. And so now they should be the trendsetters, but they're not. So that unoriginality, plus being a Christian band in a genre that is, 1, oversaturated, and 2, kind of cheesy, Skillet gets a lot of crap. But let's be real. Like, I think what's worse is that Christians like to crap on Skillet so much. Like, it's okay if it's not your thing, but to dismiss Skillet and act like Skillet's the worst is kind of mind-boggling to me. Because I'm gonna be honest, I loved Skillet when I was 14 years old. But as I have grown up, my music tastes have changed. I still like a lot of old Skillet stuff because it's like nostalgia at that point. But my music taste is just different. I like a lot more pop music than I did back then. I like a lot of heavier stuff than I did back then. I listen to a lot more metal and stuff than I did when I was 14. I don't listen to a lot of rock anymore. It's mostly metal or polar opposite pop. Like, I don't this awkward in between that rock is, I just don't listen to a lot of it anymore. And that's okay. And I think a lot of people are in that same boat. A lot of the people who loved Skillet have moved on. Now, and there is the argument that maybe part of why Skillet is so big is all of the Christian soccer moms who are, still listening to them on the Christian radio and buying their CDs at the Christian bookstore. But like, if you look at like their top 10 songs on Spotify, which I'm looking at right now, I mean, it's mostly their heavy stuff. Like those, it's mostly heavy songs. Like these aren't like the songs that are getting played on Christian radio. So that's not it. So I think the biggest thing about Dominion that actually makes it like a really good album is the lyrics. I mean, John's very open about his beliefs on his podcast. He has a podcast called Cooper Stuff, which is a really good listen. You guys should check it out. And I don't think you have to be a Christian to get stuff out of it. I think you can get stuff out of it if you're not a Christian. But it's an album that's kind of like, F the government, and that used to be the norm in rock music, but it's not really anymore. And so it's kind of a nice throwback to the roots of rock and roll. It's got real raw rock and roll energy. And also in some ways, Dominion, while it's kind of cheesy and a lot of people don't like the production, because I think it's the same producer who's done a lot of Five Finger Death Punch's records, and people just are scarred by Five Finger Death Punch for some reason. It's really might be Skillet's heaviest record. Songs like the title track Dominion and Destroyer is kind of an industrial metal song. Like, and there's some screaming on some of the songs. Like, it's probably their heaviest record. And it's the lyrics. People shouldn't be so quick to crap on Skillet, because at the end of the day, you can say the music's cheesy and the boom cats drums get repetitive and the simple chord progressions get boring. But at the end of the day, what matters most to people in music is the vocals. The vocal performance has to be good. And John's a good singer. I think he's a good singer. He's a butt rock singer, but he's a good singer. And Dominion especially has some really good lyrics. And that's what's ultimately going to matter to people. I don't know if Dominion's going to do as well as a lot of their other albums and their other music, but like just looking at, it's now been out for a week, and the numbers on plays and stuff is about what I would expect. It's about what it's been for their last couple records, and they've also done pretty well for themselves. So I don't know. I just wish that it's fine to have your own opinion. I get it. I am the same way. I do other reviews, I do reactions, and like everyone is allowed to have their own opinions. Everyone's allowed to have their own tastes and like or not like something and explain why they don't like it. But I feel like with Skillet, a lot of it is just people like to crap on them for the sake of crapping on them. I have a buddy of mine who he's kind of like that with butt rock in general, but just like Starset, 3 Days Grace, Skillet, Imagine Dragons, I guess. They're not really in the same category, but that's another band he's like this with. He'll just say like, oh, they suck. And then you'll ask him to explain why they suck, and he can't, or that's everyone and their mom with Nickelback, So I feel like Skillet has become the Christian band that gets that. And I don't know. I don't think it's fair. When I listened to Dominion a lot in the week that it's been out, and I have felt that lyrically it does make me feel better. Like, there's some good stuff to take away from it lyrically, and some of the riffs are honestly pretty badass. And I went back and I listened to their couple records before, like Unleashed, Rise, and Victorious. Like, those albums, I didn't really care for them. Like, after Awake I thought was really good, but everything they've made since then, I've been like, maybe there's 2 or 3 songs here and there that I thought were good. But I went back and I listened to those other records, and they're way better than I thought. So it's yes, I know, and it's fine if you don't like the modern butt rock sound. If you don't like it, you're not gonna like it. But there's so much to appreciate. Like, the song structure's good. There's some really sick guitar stuff there. The melodies are really good, and more times than not, the lyrics are really good. So I don't think that, and honestly, Victoria specifically, their 2019 record, that one specifically, I think, is way better than I remembered. And I'm glad I gave it another chance. But yeah, so for Dominion, if you haven't checked it out, go into it expecting it to be a Skillet record. That's what it sounds like. That's what it is. We're not going to pretend otherwise. But I feel like there's something about it in this day and age that people need. People need a little bit more positivity in their life. And I think that record brings that to the table in a fun way. So yeah, if one last thing, I know that White Horse, the last song on the album, is not everyone's favorite thing. And this meme right here, that's a good meme. That's a really good meme. But I also think that it's like the one song on the album that I'm just like, there's two skips on the album in my opinion. It's that and Shout Your Freedom, which the song's okay. I just can't do it. But White Horse is weird. I'll admit that. But again, the lyrics are really good. So if you can get over the fact that the song is just weird and take it for what it is. So that's kind of it. Those are my thoughts on Dominion. I know this was a little rantier than my reviews typically are. I would have liked to have done a track by track review, but I feel like I would have just ended up kind of saying a lot of the same stuff about each individual song. So I already mentioned at the beginning of this video kind of like my top picks for it. So yeah, if you haven't given it a chance, maybe just check out those couple songs I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Again, that would be Standing in the Storm and Forever at the End. Those are probably my two favorite. But honestly, most of the album's pretty solid. So if you could just go into it with an open mind, I think you're going to like it more than you would think you'd like it. And if you don't, that's fine. For me, at the end of the day, don't just crap on a band because everyone else is doing it. And don't crap on a band because people think it's cool to do that. Like, really think about why you have the opinions that you have and make sure you can defend that. And that's true with all aspects of life. This is your life lesson from me today. This isn't just about music. It's about anything and everything in life. Just whatever you believe, it's fine that you believe that, but make sure that you can back it up with the why, and also just, be respectful. And again, it's mostly the Christians. Like, these people who are supposed to have Skillet's back, a lot of the times they just don't seem to have Skillet's back. So I don't know. Anyways, I'll call it there. Yeah, my stuff is usually less ranty than this. So yeah, I have Magic the Gathering related contents on Monday and music related content on Fridays. And I will see you Monday. Thanks, guys.